Okay, I think I'm recording right now. And I hope you can hear me through the background noise, like family drama playing right behind. So I'm trying my best. Let me hold this. Pretty funny. Share screen. Okay, we should be good to start now, I think. I think you can see my screen going on. Okay. So for this recitation, we'll be looking at pivot tables and Excel tables. Let me like this at the bottom. Stuff running in the background is pretty funny. Well, okay. Pivot and Excel tables. Pretty simple. It's for your it's for your assignment 10. Very straightforward. We'll just get through it as quickly as we can. Um, so pivot tables and Excel tables are sort of for filtering stuff. We're sort of creating a new view for the data you already have in your Excel tables. Uh, Not really tables, just the data you have in Excel. And we'll be performing operations and working with pivot tables and Excel tables to sort of see how it works. So yeah, we'll be processing data sets, large data sets. This is most of what accounting people do as well. So if you're an accounting major, it'll probably help you a lot. Pivot tables make it possible to present data in a structured manner. We may also collapse or expand the information by levels. So you can sort of create different views with the same data you have, which depending on the use case, can be very beneficial for your company, I suppose, and for what you're doing. So yeah, go to my folders and then download the file that's there. Let me. Yeah, I have the file already open, but you can sort of go to my files and download it. You should have it there, and open the sales worksheet. Sales worksheet right here. Select the data for pivot table. Define an Excel. Okay, that's fine. Creating the pivot table. Okay. So the way you create a pivot table is you can click on any cell in your whole data set. So this is what we call a data set. It's not necessarily a table per se, but it's in the format of a table. You have columns, you have like a bunch of rows and whatnot. Select any cell in the table and then go to insert pivot table to create a pivot table. And it's automatically going to sort of select the range for you. You can see it kind of getting highlighted with the dotted lines here. It's basically saying sales, exclamation mark, which basically means the sales sheet, and then A1 to E800. It's selecting the entire thing by itself. And by default, it's selected to wherever you want your pivot table to go. Usually I'd recommend doing new worksheet, not an existing worksheet. So if you do existing worksheet, it's going to create it right here. It's going to create the pivot table in the sheet itself. But if you select a new worksheet thing, it's going to just create like a separate worksheet here. So click on OK. It's going to create that for you, and then you sort of depending on the view you want, you can put in whatever you want in these particular sort of areas, and it's going to create one depending on where you put what. And let's see. Yeah, we just did this part. And this says on the right side of the pivot screen, pivot table field, click on country. The actual choices in a real life situation will depend on the order in which the data will be structured. Okay, we'll do country. You can check stuff like this in the checkbox, but it's going to go to random places. So ideally, I would recommend you sort of drag things in, right? That would be the best way to sort of do it. So, oops. I'll do from the beginning, just so you know. Insert, pivot table. Okay. Country, let's put in rows. Order date. Let's put that here as well. Salesperson. Let's put that in the rows as well. So we'll visualize this better, but if you can see it in a way, when we just put countries and let me uncheck the rest. When we just put countries, you can see it sort of shows the country view of this. There's just two possible countries. When you put salesperson, it adds salespersons inside that country. So you can see how you can sort of branch out and sort of move in and out, collapse the fields, and sort of get different views from the same table, right? That's the purpose of using this. And then we'll do order date. It's going to add a bunch of dates and all of that. Order date, sales percent. Okay, let's do it in the right order. Oops, there's a bunch of stuff. Remove field, order date. That's good. Salesperson. And then order amount. So order amount, we would ideally want in values. So the reason we put order amount in values is because you want to. So in an ideal scenario, when you're sort of when you have sales people in your business, you want to like reward the salesperson who sells the most sales, or you want to see which country or which region is bringing the most sales, which sort of year your salespeople did really well, and you want to try to identify. You want to make inferences from the data you have. That's the whole point of collecting data, right? So this sort of creates that view for you. You can see that 2010 didn't go as well. 2011 they've done really well in terms of sales. 2012 not so much, but it's still on par. And you can see kind of the same thing with USA as well. If you wanted to, you can sort of expand it even further, and it's splitting into quarters, July, and then it has each person's sort of contribution to the sales, which is very important if you think about it. You can gain inferences from that. You can give them more incentives for people who are generating a lot of sales. This is the point of using pivot tables. And yeah, it just says country, order date, sales percent of the row section. We just did that. The reason why we're putting this in rows is because you want to have this view, this sort of view where you can see, you can click on stuff and it sort of expands, and you can sort of see how each, never mind, I got distracted. You can sort of see each quarter wise, month wise, the people who are generating revenue and all of that. So a simpler way of doing this to expand and sort of collapse the entire field would just be select any field in the table and then just do expand field. You select anything and then do expand field. It's going to expand everything out. When you do collapse field, it's going to like give you the fully collapsed view. If you wanted to see something, some particular field, if you want to expand just that, you can do stuff like this. Let's move on. Grouping the dates. Yeah, you can see that it's kind of not really organized, but okay, it's not supposed to do the quarters thing. It automatically did it. If you remove the quarters in years stuff, if you just have these three, which is what the assignment asks you to do, it will be, okay, it's actually doing that as well, which is pretty fascinating. It's supposed to have separate dates. I think it's doing it because I've done this before, the same sheet. But yeah, you can see that it's started doing this the purpose of this thing. So basically you would ideally do group selection, and then you would sort of select it. You would select months, quarters, and years, but this wouldn't be done for you before. It would just be a bunch of random dates. If you look at the sales table, it's just going to have dates like these, right? When you're doing it, you will probably just see dates here and you won't see the months. But I think since I've already done this before, like last semester and the semester before, it's showing me this. It won't show up this way for you. It will just show a bunch of random dates. So for you to fix that, you would just select any one of them. You'd go to the pivot table, analyze, and you would do group selection. Click on group selection. Whatever dates you have, it will give you the range, and you just select months, quarters, and years, so that you can you'll get this Jan and then whatever quarter-wise view and then year-wise view. So we still don't have years, so I can still kind of select years. And if you want to select multiple things, you'd hold on the shift button and then you'd shift key, and then you'd sort of select whatever you need. If you do okay, it's going to give me the year-wise view and then quarter-wise view and then month-wise view. This is a much better view instead of just having individual dates. Which is exactly what will be happening if you do it. So try to follow along and work this together with me so you can understand what's going on. Moving on. Collapsing and expanding fields, I think I just showed you this. It's pretty simple. It's just click on this. If you just expand all the fields, it's going to expand everything. If you just collapse fields, it's going to give you the overall sort of top level view, which doesn't go in detail. But if you want to, you can open up stuff and then you can sort of see what's going on inside each quarter wise, each sort of salesperson wise, which I don't know, depending on what you need, can be helpful. Moving on, a second pivot table on the transaction one worksheet. So go to transaction one worksheet, and what are we doing here? Okay, it clearly says what to do depending on the view you want. It will depend on what view you want, where you want to put your columns in. So let's just click on this, insert, pivot table. It selects the entire table. Well, I'm going to do okay. And now this is what is going to change how your pivot table is going to look, right? Depending on where you put your columns. If you want to put the columns in columns, the way you want your pivot table to look, if you put them in rows, filters, and values and whatnot. So if you notice, values will always, I'll tell you what I mean. I'm skipping through stuff. So, okay. This time columns and filters will be added to pivot table. Yeah, last time we didn't add columns and filters, we just did rows and values. We'll add columns and filters this time to see what happens. So on the pivot table field list, right side of the screen, click on category name, product name, ship country. Okay. Okay. Category name, product name. Oops. Ship country, ship city, quantity. We want category here, ideally. Okay. Uncheck this. This is the easiest way of doing it. Just drag it to wherever you want. Product name. So you see how it's sort of, you have like beverage, and then inside beverage you have chai, chang, whatever. So you want to do it that way. You don't want it in values. Count of beverages doesn't really make sense. What else? Category name, product name, ship country, ship city, and quantity. Ship country, again, you would want it rows. Ship city. And then, what was it? Quantity. Quantity, you'd ideally want the values. So it sort of gives you like a view of how many beverages there are and whatnot, how many orders of each beverage there is. So, and you can see here that when you put something, any sort of column in values, it's automatically going to do the sum, right? What if you want to do something else? I don't know, average, count, anything, any other operation. You'd right click on this, you'd go to field settings, and you would change this to, if you want count, you change this to count, average, for example, if I click on average, it's going to give me the averages for each of them. So yeah, for now, let's just stick to sum, but in your assignment 10, I think you would have to change one of those to average or something like that. But yeah, let's stick to sum. Yeah, you can now see a pivot table, click on the category label and hit collapse. Yeah, I mean, you can kind of collapse these and sort of see where each beverage is sold, and then how many quantity of each beverage is sold, whatnot. Collapse field, expand field. Another thing I find really fascinating is Americans calling chai tea. So chai in itself is tea. Don't call chai tea. Don't call it chai tea. It's not chai tea. It's like saying tea. So it annoys me a lot. So don't call chai tea. Just call it tea or chai. Don't do chai tea. It's like saying bread. I don't know. It's really weird. Don't be weird. Okay, moving on. Click on category label. Okay, we did this. Yeah, I mean, if you do this, if you just collapse field, it's going to show you all the categories and whatnot. If you like collapse this as well, it's going to show you. Yeah, and again, so what you select when you click on collapse field makes a difference. So when I select something inside chai and then I do collapse field, it's going to collapse only the stuff inside that. So if you want the outermost view, you'd want to select the outermost thing and click on collapse field. It's going to collapse everything. But if you want like something that's collapsed partially but not fully, if I do collapse field here for Belgium, it's going to collapse only all the country-wide. If I do it here, it's going to do it only until that level, if that makes sense. So if you do it in the outermost thing and you click on collapse field, it's going to collapse everything. Oops. yeah, it's going to collapse everything. An expand field is again only going to expand as much as you want, if that makes sense. So basically, what I mean is, if you just expand field from here, this is going to expand the beverages and whatnot. But yeah, moving on, modifying a pivot table rather than having collapsible table. Okay, so here we have a collapsible sort of pivot table where we have everything in rows. But if you want to have something like a matrix, when I say matrix, what I mean is like a bunch of columns against the rows, and you want to see how many, for example, putting the countries here, right? Inside beverages and inside chai, for example, you want to have Belgium here, Brazil here, and you want to see like map that particular column with that particular row and see how much quantity it's sold right there, instead of having it collapsible this way. Um, let's see how to do that. So on the lower portion of the right screen, move ship country to the columns quadrant. Let's do that now. Ship country to the columns. Now you can see how it sort of acts like a, I don't know, like a matrix in a way. I look at this as a matrix. It's sort of like a data matrix, if you know what I mean. You probably don't, but yeah, it's a data matrix is when you sort of, so for example, I can see that chai was sold in Charleroi against Belgium for 10 quantity, something like that. It sort of gives you a different view of the same table. So this is why pivot tables can be like really interesting. You can change the view based on where you put something, where you put the column in your pivot table. But yeah, moving on. Yeah, category versus ship country and so on. Click on the little minus with beverages. Yeah, you can sort of again get like a higher level view of this as well. You can see that a lot of it is this is what we call a sparse matrix. Again, I don't want to go into that, but you can see that a lot of data is empty, right? So if you do it this way, it's gonna couple everything up, it's gonna add everything up, and you'll have less empty field. But yeah, moving on. Click on the we did this. Some entries will be blank because there's no sales data for these. For example, you can see this grains and cereals were installed in Norway and Poland, which I find pretty interesting. They don't eat. Oh yeah, I don't think. Yeah, Europeans do still probably bread or something. So no grains or cereals. Pretty fascinating. Um, click on the little minus next to the beverages to collapse information again. Yeah, we've already done this. I mean, if you want to again expand collapse, you can do this stuff. It's going to give you like a better view. Adding a filter to a pivot table. Again, notice we still haven't used the filter thing in itself. Let's add a filter now. Shipper name. Okay, let's add shipper name to the filter. Now, what this is going to do, it's going to create. Let me sort of collapse the entire thing. This is going to give you like a shipper name level view. So when you have a filter, you can see that it includes all the shipper names, Federal Shipping, Speedy Express, whatever United Package. For example, if you just want Federal Shipping, right, you can just select that. And these are the quantities just for Federal Shipping. You would have something like this for your assignment 10, I want to say. And you'll have like regions, West, East, and so on. If you just want to see how the West did, how the East did, how a particular state did, and things like that. Is like a pretty interesting thing. Yeah, so you can unselect all, and then if you just want whatever you select, your data is going to change based on that. It's a very interesting and very useful tool for you to sort of categorize and tone it down in one single thing and try to gain inferences from that. Okay, what else? Report filter quadrant. I've already done this. Yeah, it's just telling you what the table is going to look like. Unclick all shippers and click on, yeah, we just did this. We just saw what Federal Shipping looks like and all of that. Yeah, you can play around with this and see how it changes for each of those. But this is the totals for all the shippers put together. We just want the Federal Shipping view, select everything, and then this is how the view for that looks. Create a pivot table based on transaction one that has countries, cities as row labels. Okay. Countries and cities as row labels. Transactions one. We were Oh yeah, we were working with sales. So now let's move to transactions one, our next pivot table experiment. And let's do, again, any cell in the table will do. Any random cell will do. Insert pivot table, it automatically selects your thing. It's pretty smart. Excel, do okay. And now, what does it want to do? Countries and cities as row labels. Countries and cities. Country and city as row labels. Ship country and ship city. And then you have shippers as column labels. Oh, coming right away.
Sorry, Papi, do is
You're fine.
Thank
You're
you.
fine.
Thank you.
All right. It said country and the country and city. What else? Shippers as column labels. Shipper name as column label. Employees as filters. Employees as filters. The employee ID. And quantities as values. Quantities as values. So usually you'll see that something like quantity goes in the values because you want to see them add up as you sort of trace back and you collapse or expand your thing. But this is a pretty cool view as well. So you can see in this table, in transactions, you have country name, products, again, a similar. Wait, is that what we paid it for? We were working with transactions before, weren't we? Yeah, exact same worksheet. I haven't gotten enough sleep, so I'm sort of tripping. Okay. Anyway, moving on. We just did that, and this is a different view. I think it's sheet four. So yeah, you can again, there's a different level view. It has countries in it. It has just the shippings and whatnot. It sees what sort of shipping goes into each country, and then you have employee ID filters, so you can just see what employee, which countries the employee operates in, and what they're selling and stuff like that. It's another interesting view, probably. Um, there's a lot of levels. There's a lot of different views you can create from the same table. This is what we're kind of realizing this, right? There's multiple different observations and views you can create from just one single data set. This is what we call a data set. Yeah. Moving on. Excel tables provide filtering and sorting capabilities for all columns. Yeah, so now we will move on to Excel tables. That wasn't a smooth transition, like our recitations, but yeah, so Excel tables are, so what we were working with until now is pivot tables. Pivot tables sort of gives you this collapsible adding up sort of framework where you can see information like this. Excel tables, on the other hand, are just very simple. All it does is just it gives you like filters. For example, if I want to filter shipper name here, it gives you a filter for every single column, and you can use those filters to deduce again how a certain particular shipper does it, how a particular, you can select a particular city or a region or things like that. So let's do that. Excel tables provide filtering and sorting capabilities for all columns. So now we'll be working with transactions to spreadsheet. Click on any cell in the data set the exact same way, any random cell, insert, table, it's going to automatically select. You can see the thing outlined, and okay, it's going to change it to a certain color. If you want, you can change the whatever the format in which it does the Excel table. But you can automatically see it has like drop downs here for each column. It's selected to all. But if you just wanted to select a particular thing, you can unselect all, and then you can just select beverages. It's going to show you only beverages and condiments and stuff like that. But by default, it's all going to be selected all. If you just want to do, I don't know, drop out a few things, you can just drop out like a certain thing instead of unselecting everything. So yeah. Okay. We just did this. Adding a column to Excel table. Okay, this is pretty interesting. So we want to add a column. Let's see what column they want us to add. Notice that we have unit price and discounts column field. We'll use those to calculate the net price for the product. Okay, net price. So when I add a new column to an Excel table, it's going to automatically format it to the formatting we had before. It's going to add the colors, give me the drop down and everything. And the way we would, so we want to do net price is what? Unit price minus discount. So discount is, again, if you notice, it's in percentage. It's like 0.2 is like 20%, right? So the way you would do it is in Excel tables, you would want to use it like arrays when you're referring to something. And if you note, arrays, we always used to use the square brackets, right, for indices. So in Excel, when you put something in square brackets, basically means you're referring to that entire array. And you want to, when you're referring to an entire array, when you want this entire thing to autofill, when you're referring to the entire array, it's going to sort of overfill the data. It's going to overflow. So you would just do at to refer to that particular thing. And you would do something like unit price, close it, minus unit price minus unit price. Or you can just do one. Okay, let me just do unit price. Yeah, I should do tab. Autocomplete should be tab. Unit price of 1 minus at at discount. It's two ads. Yeah, this should work now. So again, unit price of 1 minus discount is basically unit price minus unit price times discount. So that should give you the net price of each product, right? So when I do the add, it's going to automatically do it for every single column. You don't even have to drag it. That's the whole point of using the array notation, the whole square bracket notation, to do it in Excel tables. It's pretty cool. If you don't use the add, it's going to give you a warning saying it's going to overflow the data, which if you just select yes or something, it's going to automatically put the add, but ideally you want to put an add just so that it doesn't get confused. It's weird looking at myself to the screen, but we'll move on. On the target cell, okay, we just did this, whatever. Okay. Okay, unit price of one, we just did this. Add a new column, net sale. Accounting formula for net sale is net price times quantity. Okay, so net sale, pretty simple. You can do it yourself. Pause the video, try it. If you can't get it, you can sort of follow what I'm doing. Net sale is net price times quantity. Pretty simple, right? Again, same way. At net price. Oops. Net price. Autocomplete is messing up. At net price times bracket at quantity. Yeah, I see that selecting it's sort of messing it up, but whatever. This should work now. It's working. 111.5 times 45 is roughly 520. So yeah, it should work. Yeah, and as you can see, it's just autofill the rest of stuff by itself. You don't even have to drag. That's the purpose of using Excel tables. So now let's apply sorting and filters. The main purpose of Excel tables is to apply sorting and filters. Here we haven't even looked at it yet, but let's quickly look at it. We need to select the records related to Germany for net sale. Okay, Germany. So Germany is in country. On select everything, just select Germany. And then it's going to only show you the data for Germany. And then it says net sale between 200 and 500 bucks. So net sale. Okay, you can see that we have individual stuff, right? So you can do choose one here in the filter. You choose one drop down between greater than equal to 200 and less than. This and or is the exact same and or we were using in JavaScript. If you think about it, it's the exact same function. So if you understood and or how to use and or there, this is going to be pretty similar. It's the exact same thing. So it needs to be greater than 200 and less than 500. If you do or, it can only be one at a time. So you want it to be both greater than 200 and less than 500 at the same time. So it says and less than or equal to 500, it's going to give you everything that's between 200 and 500, which is pretty cool. You don't have to write any programs or anything for it. It just, you just hit a click buttons. So yeah, click on the ship country arrow and deselect all items. Uncheck select all, and then select only we just did this, we did this. Finally, click on product name arrow, sort from A to Z. Okay, you can also sort stuff. So product name, ascending, which is gonna sort of align it from A to Z, as you can see. And you can see that the row numbers here change. So it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 46, 80. It's not continuous in a way because we just filtered only for Germany and values between 200 and 500. So we have only those values in our table right now. So it's not going to be a continuous table. But if you select this, it's not selecting just 46 and 80. It's selecting everything between 46 and 80, which can kind of be confusing to begin with. I'm not going to confuse you more. If you want to look into it, you can. But yeah, when you do this, you're not just selecting 46 and 80. You're selecting everything from 46 all the way to 80. So 47, 48, 49, 79, 80. Yeah. Moving on. Change the filter so that only dates from the second quarter of 2030, dates between April 1 and June 30, 2030 are displayed. This can be a little tricky. So dates, the way dates work is a little tricky. So again, you would do, okay, all dates in this period, choose one. We want to do between after April 1 and June 30. Okay. Yeah, this is going to be annoying because you have to do it in one go. You cannot like switch tabs and then come back. Order date, April 1st and June 30, right? Okay. Between April 1st, so that's going to be 04, 01, 2030, and June 30th, which is sort of 2030. Or you can also like do the whole selecting through a calendar thing, which I'm not a big fan of, to be honest. So 04, 1, 2030 to 630, yeah. This is going to give you all the data for just that particular quarter. But if you notice, you also have like, instead of doing this, you have like another option where you can just pick like a particular quarter, but just figure out. This is just to show you how you can input like manual dates. It doesn't have to be for a particular quarter. It can be any date you want, and it's going to filter that for you. Moving on. In addition, filter any information that has quantity greater than 30. Okay. Quantity greater than 20. Not bad. Quantity greater than 20. So greater than is choose one again. Just select greater than 20. It's going to give you stuff only greater than 20. Pretty simple. Sorted by ship city and shipper name. Ship city and shipper name. Ascending, shipper name. Ascending. Done. The number filter option should be used only when filtering numbers and dates. Dates are also stored in process numbers, especially the checkbox should be only used for text-based data. So what this basically means is when you're filtering it this way, you'll have multiple sort of individual dates. This would apply only when you have like specific particular dates, which is not an ideal sort of use case in most scenarios. So you wouldn't want this, you want like a range. And yeah, date and stuff is also text data. So the way you input and work with it, it should be dealt carefully. Yeah, moving on. Are we done? I think we're done. Yep, we're done. That was pretty quick. So yeah, I hope it sort of helps your assignment. Another thing you need for your assignment that's not in the recitation content. I asked Professor Love to add this, so I don't think it's in the recitation or the lecture. Maybe he taught in your lectures, but yeah. Let me just go through it quickly in this video so that it sort of helps you out for your assignment. So for certain things, for questions like you'd have in your assignment 9 and 10, you'd have questions like, oh, which person has the most sales? Or which employee did the best, or things like that, right? For questions like those, when you have the largest, the best usually means the function max. And I don't want you to like manually go through, look at the amount of data you have, right? If you manually went through, and this is nothing, in a real world scenario, the data that I work with, you have millions, billions of records. You cannot manually sit and go through each and every one of those and then find who did best, which is counterintuitive, right? It defeats the purpose of using Excel. I want you to come up with a formula, a generic mathematical formula, where it just spits out which employee did the best or something like that. So let's say, for example, let's just assume, for this case, let's just assume unit price, right? You have a different table for your assignment. I'm not going to do the exact assignment, but you can apply this for your assignment the same way I do it for this. So let's say I just want to find the item with, let's say I just want to find the product name, which has the highest unit price, the basically the most expensive product, right? So when I say highest, largest, sort of best usually means the maximum, right? Pretty simple. You just use the max function of, max function just works this way, and you just select the entire thing, right? You select the whole array. So it's just going to pick out the maximum value from the entire array. It's kind of annoying selecting the entire thing, but once we're done, just close the bracket, and it's going to find the maximum value of the thing. You see that you have the maximum value here, you have the maximum unit price, but you want the product name of the maximum unit price. So max in itself returns only the value. You cannot find the max of a product name. If you just find that, it's not going to make sense because you're not mapping it to the unit name. So can you think of this in a certain way where we've done it before? If you go back to trace back to assignment 8, these are nothing but parallel arrays, parallel data arrays, parallel information arrays, where you have one information array which has a unit price, you have a corresponding information array which has a product name corresponding to the unit price. So here, when I say unit price of 2 or whatever, the second unit price here refers to chai, and so on, right? You see that the product name is the second product name as well. The same way we use the I to index and then map the phone name, iPhone to 850 and so on in your array, right? This is the exact same thing, but in Excel. And we could figure it out using max. We got the max value. The next thing you would want to figure out is the index in itself. You want to figure out which index the maximum value is in so that you can sort of map that index to this column. So for getting that, you would use match. The match function will give you the index in itself. And again, try to follow the prompts that you get from Excel, which is going to make things a lot easier for you. So when it says lookup value, you're looking up for the maximum value, right? Again, I don't want to put in 263.5 manually myself because that could change. So right now, the maximum unit price is 263.5. But what if I were to add an item later on, which is like $300? If you manually input 263.5, it's not going to change. You'd have to change your formula again. So always, whenever you have something like this, use formulas, right? It's going to automate everything, which is going to make things a lot easier and quite honestly, take away jobs. So let's find the maximum of this again, the entire range again. The better way of doing this would just be to figure out how many rows there are and then not dragging it. Let's do it this time so we don't have to repeat it. Yeah, it's kind of annoying. Keeps going. Okay. 2,156, 2156. Got it. I'm going to use this, the next one. So it says lookup value, which is going to be the maximum value you find from this, which is what we're writing in the formula, and then lookup array. The array is again going to be H2 to H2156, right? That's the index we want. So basically, it's going to map the maximum value. It's going to map 263.5 to the appropriate array that we're passing. So the array here is H2. Think of the array here as the same JavaScript array, H2 to H2156. If you click on enter, it says 2155, which basically means the maximum value exists in the row 2155. Let's verify it. Let's verify if that's true. 2155. 2155 has, oh, that's not right. Why do you think it's not right? It's always going to give you the last one. Just saying. It's because the match function has another argument named match type. By default, it just assumes it's less than. So it's going to run through the entire thing and it's just going to do less than. But here you want an exact match. What an exact match basically means is you want an exact match for 263.5 to the appropriate array that you're passing. So you would pass in 0. Or you can just click on 0 here and it's going to do exact match. when I click on enter, it's going to give me the actual exact match row number. So 197, it says from the array that you selected, row number 197. So remember, you selected the array from the second row. So when it says 197 here, you want to look at 198 in this because you selected your array here starts from H2 and not H1. So let's go all the way to 198 and see if the value is 263.5. 198, 198. We have it right here, 198. It is not 265. That's weird. 263.5. We have a bigger value than that. Oh, we're looking at the wrong column. We're looking at H. Okay. Look at H, 198. Look at column H, which is 263.5, which is the maximum value, right? And it's going to throw you it's going to give you the first occurrence where it matches with 263.5. It's going to stop right there. So you found out that the 197th row of the array that you just passed has the highest value. So ideally, what you want to do is you want to map that. So let's go all the way back, 197, 197, 197, 197, 198. I mean, yeah, 198. You want to map that to whatever this product is. I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, so I'm not even going to try. But you want to map that to this product, right? So you can see that product is in the column B. So you want to map that. This is where you use the index. So the index function takes an array as the first argument. So your array is going to be here B2 all the way to, what was this? Oops. Let me just cancel it to see how many rows there are. Exact same number of rows, H2 to H1, 2, 5, 6. Okay, 2, 1, 5, 6. So index, oops, index, array is going to be B2 to B156, 2156, comma. Now your actual row number here is 197, right? It's a result of that entire function that we did before. So that entire function that we did before was match of max. So put in your match as the thing max. So if you think about it, this entire thing that we're going to put in, you have to get 197 into the second argument for index. So you can put in 197, it's going to give you the actual value, but you want to use your formula, the entire formula that you did before. The entire formula that you did before was match of max of B2 to B2156 to 156, comma, oops, max of, you just have to finish that in the lookup array, which is again going to be B2 to B2156. And then your match type is going to be exact match. Close it off. I did something wrong. Oh, H, it's not B, right? H2 to H2156, H2 to H2156. And it's going to give you the appropriate product name, which is pretty cool. So you just work your way through the unit price column to get to the appropriate product name for that maximum unit price, which is similar to what your assignment is going to ask you first. So 198, you can see that it has 263.5, and then you got the appropriate product name. So I want you all to use this match max index. Again, you can take a look at the formula, pause it, work it through, use this in your assignment to arrive at the largest value or the best possible, whatever, the person with the most sales, the person with the most highest value or whatever. Right. So again, it doesn't have to just be for highest. You can just change this function to min or whatever, but understand the concept here. You're basically finding the maximum value from this column. You're getting the index with the match function for the maximum value in this column, and you're mapping it to another column here with this appropriate parallel array. That makes sense, which is what the index function does on a whole. Yeah, play around with this, try to figure out what's going on. But yeah, this is how you do it. I'll see you guys next week then. Goodbye.